You're listening to People Think About It. Delve into the world of relationships, business, and politics with hosts Lamar Clark, Dorshell Clark, and Dominque Hagler on People Think About It, where thought-provoking discussions abound.
Well, we're back at People Think About It, and today's topic we're going to be talking about, I guess we can call it, does age matter? We're talking about the difference in age, what people feel comfortable with, what do people think that distance and age should be. So we're going to start this conversation out on, I was doing a little research, because, you have a lot of actors and entertainers, they date people that's way younger than them, like some Robert De Niro, the woman he's dating, he's 16 years older than her. Beyonce and Jay-Z is 11 years older than Beyonce. So, you got different people that date, and at one point in time, do you feel like age is not a factor? Y'all want to comment?
You want me to start it off?
Yeah, go ahead. Well,
okay, so you said, when is age not a factor?
When does it come to the point that age is not a factor? Mm-hmm. It was like you and I had a conversation,
right? And
I was sharing with you that my daughter and I used to have a lot of these conversations, and she used to tell me, like, sometimes she would meet guys that's my age, and she felt so uncomfortable because she felt like is a father figure, rather than
somebody that she's like a companion.
Yeah, but she told me this one guy she met, but I guess he had his little program together and stuff, but she just said she felt awkward,
right?
And it's like I told you, I was telling her at a certain point in time, you're a grown woman, you know what I mean? That if you find somebody that is compatible with you, treat you right and everything, then at what point do you say, well, I'm not going to look at this age?
I feel like the age doesn't matter when you guys are on the same page, right? Like, because now it don't even matter what your age is when we're on the same level. Now, if I'm still in my youth and you grandpa, we not on the same page. So now we got a problem. So I feel like, yes, you want somebody that's going to be able to, you can learn from and you can grow with and things like that. But if that person is way past you, or y'all can't relate, then it's a problem. Age does become a problem. And I can speak from my own experience, just dating somebody 10 years older than me. Our experiences were completely different. I'm young. I'm like, yeah, I'm about to put some Kevin Gates on. And he's like, what is that? Who is that? And I'm just like, yeah, I probably need to get somebody a little bit younger.
But even at that point, he didn't know who it is. Do you think that you could have introduced him to who he is?
I did, but now, and I have older guys in my family, like my uncle, my dad, my stepdad, like they know. So for me, I was just like, you're just very far removed from what I know. Like we're in different spaces. He was more into like.
Was he like a social media type guy?
No, he was very like old fashioned.
Right.
How much older was he?
10 years. He's not my speed. We just didn't. We didn't click in certain areas. Now, when it came to having a mature intellectual conversation, yes, I was able to have those kind of conversations. But when it came to anything outside of that, we didn't mesh.
Do you think, and my thing I always say, because we're a social media world, do you think that if he was in touch with social media and knew some of the things that were going on in the world, knew some of the changes that was happening in the world, do you think that age difference would have made a difference?
I think because he would have been more open to what's outside in the world, then I don't think it would have mattered that much. And then I feel like he would have also tapped into the fashion of today's time. So, he would have learned things on his own that I didn't necessarily have to teach him, because now, and that was one of the things that he would say, like, you keep me youthful. And I'm like, yeah, but you making me old. So, like, there's a problem there.
But and you know what? I think that sometimes people don't know how to find that balance. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because, like, I mean, with me, let's face it, I'm 60. I'll be in a couple of days, 67 years old, and I think maybe it has to do something because when I cut hair, I deal with younger guys, and I look on social media and see where I try to stay abreast to what's happening in the world, and like sometimes. I've had people to say to me, man, you acting like you young or something.
Right.
But I think age is nothing but a number.
Right.
Because with me, I believe life evolves and revolves on wisdom and knowledge. It's about what you know,
Right.
mentally. Because, you could take age and you can look at somebody that's 40 years old, they look 60 years old.
That's
you could look
true.
at somebody that's 60 years old, look 40 years old,
Right. I agree.
So it sometimes is staying in the box of things that's happening, you know what I mean?
You got to be in the mix some way because if not, you fall behind. And then I guess my thing is like, even with guys my age, like in the 30s, mid 30s, like why do you want somebody so much younger than you? Like why are we going back so far? Because even with that, it's like, what are you looking to get out of dating somebody that far apart? Like for women, if you're dating somebody older, are you looking for that father figure? Are you trying to fill a void by dating somebody older? Like how do you even get to that point of being with somebody that much older than you?
Well, so studies have shown that because women mature faster than guys. Mm-hmm. So what happens is just like I heard Minister Farrakhan say this, is that the way they do it, they take their age, split it in half. So if you're 40, you take 20, and then you add 7. So that means a 40-year-old and a 27-year-old would be compatible.
Would they? Okay,
From an intellectual standpoint,
right.
Because of the maturity level that, what we've been taught in life, that women mature faster than men. Mm-hmm. So now you got these cougars out here that's dating younger men.
Right. That's true too.
So,
and I feel like even with that, you have older women dating younger men, and then it's like you trying to groom them. But I feel, and I just had this conversation yesterday, to be exact. I was talking to a gentleman, and he was saying that he was married twice, and he got married when he was 22, and his wife was 16 years older than him. And he was like, he feels like a lot of what his experiences was more so like traumatized, because it's like everything was new and fresh, and she just kind of took advantage of him in certain ways, especially sexually.
Right.
So now it's like a trauma. So now it's I just feel like it's a lot with the age differences.
Well, that's the question I have for you, Dominique, is that you was with somebody that was older, but what was the sex life like for you as a younger person?
I mean, that was probably the best part of the relationship, to be honest, when it came to that. But outside of that, I didn't feel like we understood each other. I felt like we were just really far and removed. When it came to, our more intimate side, it was perfect. We spoke each other's language, but that was the saving grace. But I mean, at the end of the day, if that's all you got, it's not gonna last.
No, that's not.
It's not gonna keep you.
That's part of the things that sustain. I mean, there's a multitude of things that sustain a relationship. You
right.
know, when you're talking about finance, you're talking about intimacy. You're talking about just getting along as partners, like we talked about before. Soulmates and stuff like
right.
that. And we tend to see that a lot of older men usually date younger women.
Right. Yes.
A lot of older, and now with these studies, they're saying that a lot of women that's over the age of 39 is starting to date a lot of younger guys. You know what I mean? And like you just said, some of those young ladies that's dating the older men, what are you looking for? A father figure or this, that, and other?
Right.
And I try to take that and try to understand why I think that older women that date younger guys is about a control thing. It's about controlling them.
Right, and I think that's the same part with older men. I feel like they can control you. They can manipulate you and make you think what they want you to think and believe what they want you to believe. And I think I experienced just a little bit of that because I was able to have discernment in the situation enough to know that I was he was trying to manipulate me. Being that I was younger, he tried to do those things, and he actually said it to me. He was like, I just wasn't able to manipulate you because I've done it in the past.
Do you think, how big do you think that culture plays in on things? Like when you took, like if you go to other countries, where you talk about relationships and coming together, other cultures, they tend to, like, is a family type thing, where the family gets involved, and it's usually an older guy marrying a younger girl, So how do you think culture plays into it when you're looking at us as our American culture, or how we see things in relationship? Because we don't so much have that family value involved with everybody. Like, I can almost say when I was coming up, it was a noble thing for you to bring that person home and let them meet your parents. If you did that, you can almost bet you were the one.
Right.
But now,
Yeah, it don't matter. You can walk right past the mama and be the third girl of the day now. I mean, that's not even... Meeting the parents or meeting the family is not... It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't hold that type of weight anymore in today's society because... Like I said, people don't care, especially when you in and out. This one next week, this one last night, this one, like, it don't matter. Oh, hey, how you doing?
I mean, I still hear some guys say that. I can't take her home to my mama, but I think that the mama is part of the problem.
Oh, yeah.
I really do. I'm saying this as a man, where I think that the mama is part of the problem is because, like you say, you're a woman, but you see your son dating this woman. This week is this one. Next week is another. Next week is another. I mean, sometimes I always ask myself, what does that say to you about being a woman? Because you're helping him, get over on these women.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But then I also have to say...
Manipulate, that's what I want to say.
What did he see? Did he see all these different men coming in and out of your life? And, now he feels like that's just how it goes. Like what is being taught, what is being seen. And that's why I tell anybody, you granted, no, you don't want to have a 2-parent household or however it may go, blended family household where your kids are not seeing love, your kids are not seeing goodness of a relationship. If they see, oh, well, my mother got a different man every day, he's seeing that as a child. He's now lost respect for women. So as he grows, yeah, you gonna see Shaniqua coming through, Robin gonna pull up after she leave. That's what's gonna happen now.
And that's a good point you make because I think, especially us in the black culture, we don't see quality relationships often. We don't see them. I'm not saying we don't see them, but we don't see them as often because you got a lot of single parent households, whether it's the mama or whether it's the daddy. You got a lot of single parent households. So, I think that sometimes we don't know how to embrace relationship. We don't know how to embrace love. Sometimes things look so shady to you because you never seen it. You know what I mean? And when you never seen it, you don't know how to embrace it.
Right.
You don't know the expectations of how a person should treat you. Like I know when my daughters were coming up, I actually dated them. To the point that, hey, we're gonna go out. We're gonna choose a place to go, and it's almost like I'm showing them how a man should treat them. But also in that same token, I had them like sometimes we would go out. Hey, sometimes you got to pay. I try to add a balance to that thing. You know what I mean? So you got to introduce like from a young child to growing up of how a relationship. I mean, I could say like even marriage. If you never knew what a successful marriage was, you're going to be fighting a battle for your marriage to be successful because you don't know what it looks like.
Right.
So we look at relationships, and then when you add the age factor in, and sometimes it works for people. I had a buddy that was 20 years older than his wife. You know what I mean? Before he passed away, with Dorshell and I, we 10 years apart. But we have our good where it works, and we have our differences because the kind of culture I came from, the kind of culture she come from, right? But I think that we both can teach each other something. You know what I mean? And you got to see the value in that person you're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean that too. It has to make sense in other areas in order for it to be successful. Me personally, I don't really think I'm looking for somebody older than me. Not a significant.
What if it just happens though?
I mean, if it just happens, okay. But I know I'm not trying to go too far up the ladder. Like I'm not. Right now I'm looking between 3 and 5 years. That's, maybe 7 at the most, but that's it. You know, it stops right there for me because I feel like we're in that space where we understand we're still in our 30s. We still got a lot of life to live. Yeah. And so, even when I do look at these 20 years, 30 years apart relationships, it's like I don't know. Like, you're so much older, and now, I have to think about those things. Like, you see people, I'm 40 and he's 78 and stuff like that. And it's just like, what, like, time is ticking at this point. Not that I want to kill him off, but it's just like, that's weird. That's far. I don't know what they're there for, but if it's love, that's great. But I don't know. To me, that's just a bit far.
Right. I mean, everybody has to have their own standards of what they want to do out of life because, like we said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
I mean, it definitely does. But, at the end of the day, that person has to make sense to you. And we're going to take Beyonce and Jay-Z for an example. They're, 11 years apart?
11 years apart.
And I feel like he was the type of guy that she knew could lead her. Right? He wasn't just an older guy just trying to manipulate her. He was an older guy pouring into her, helping her grow. He was giving her the tools that she needed to be successful, even though she was successful already. They worked together as a team. So they were able to pour into each other. So that means they were in the same headspace. They were on the same page. Even though he was 11 years older, he knew the things that she didn't know. Right? He was from New York. He got that up north mentality. She's from Texas. They coming from these different places, but because of his drive and what he had to bring to the table, that made their relationship ideal. And look where they at now. Right. You don't always have that when you're dealing with somebody older or young. You don't always have that.
Well, I think even if a person is older or younger, I think that what you have to understand is the support element. That, you have to step back and understand that, these are the moves that I'm trying to make. And in these moves I'm trying to make, I'm looking for you to be there to support me. You know what I mean? Whether it's the man or the woman. Because if you're in a relationship and that person, let's just take it where the guy's older and the girl's younger, and she's still into the club scene and everything, and this guy's business-minded, right? So you could flip the scenario as well. Right. But, if one person still, I want to go clubbing and stuff, and the other person is business-minded, you heading for disaster because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to understand. People are not going to understand where you at. They're not going to understand your platform. And that's where the trouble begins. What I mean?
For sure. And then I know in my experience of dating, I actually was speaking to this guy, and I was like, he was like, it's hard to get to you. And I was like, well, I'm here now. So, what's the problem? I said, all I've known you was to always date younger girls, and we're in our 30s. So you dating girls 20, 21 years old. We're halfway to the middle of our 30s. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
They're babies. Like, what, you have a kid? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand why you going back that far. I'm like, but you're crying about a relationship and not having a woman of substance. But that's what you're going for. And not saying women in their 20s can't have substance, but what are we doing? I'm like, okay, so then what's the problem? Because I'm here. And he's like, well, I mean, you just have a lot of experience in life. And, I need somebody that I can kind of, train. And I said, control? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, because you cannot dumb me down. You can't control me. Now, if you want to lead me, that's another thing. But you can't come in here controlling this because, yes, we are the same age. So you can't just come in here thinking you just about to run this. You're not going to run this.
Right.
I have my own life experiences. So it's different. Now, if you want to be able to manipulate somebody, then, you're on the right path.
It's just like even with relationships when you look at it. I think for the most part, women look for a man that got a plan. You know, like, what is your plan? I think that even if you took the money out of the equation and the material things, but you got a plan on how to get the money. You got a plan on how to get the material things. You got a plan on how to get from A to B.
Right.
I think
it's important.
That's what a lot of women are sitting back and saying, like, what is your plan?
What's your plan?
You
right,
know?
Exactly.
You know, because like you just said, hey, you want me, but you still over here in this playground, you know? So you still playing in this playground, but you saying that you want somebody that can help you grow. Because I think that you got to get to a place in life where, you know, everybody has to know their place. Right. You know what I mean? My favorite saying is stay in your lane, you know? That we both can ride down the road in a car, but somebody's going to have to drive and somebody's going to have to be the passenger. But the passenger still can see things that you can't see as driving, you know? So if that passenger brings an awareness to you, you know what I mean? Y'all working together. Or he brings it, or she brings an awareness to you. I think that's where it has to go for it to work, to eliminate the age part. You know? Because you can take somebody that's 2 years older than you, and you can feel like you made the worst decision in the world.
For sure.
You know?
I'm not saying, you know, dating older is a disaster per se. Ideally, you know, everybody got their choice. And I just don't think that's a choice that I would choose again for myself. Right. Especially nothing past 10.
So let me ask you this, because I know we were talking at one time and you were saying that you had girlfriends, they enjoyed dating older guys. What do they tell you is their reasoning for dating older guys?
Well, I mean, these older guys are well established. They're, you know, financially stable. They're not outside playing. You know, they have, you know, they're set. Their lives are already set. So, you know, you coming in and being a part of their life, you're just, you know, an asset at this point. But they're not like the younger guys that's playing the field and, you know, 1 minute he communicating, the next they're not doing that. So, you know, that's what they're getting, you know, outside of the financial part. Because a lot of them are not in full-blown relationships either, you know. Because a lot of these older men that are well-established, they're not looking for wives. They want a sugar baby. You know, they're paying. You know, that's what they're doing. So it depends on, you know, the older guys that you get or what you going in there for.
And I think that some of the older guys that are just looking for a younger woman or and they're well established. If you sit down and talk to some of them that they have been married before and you know, because of what they had to do to build up with it, I mean, they had some trauma and some this and that, and they just don't want the chaos about it. Is more or less like, you know what, I'll call you when I want to see you. You know what, if I want to go to dinner and invite you out, hey, I'm gonna call you up. Other than that, I don't need to keep tabs on you. I don't need to keep track of you. But you have to understand, you have to be there when I need you.
Right.
You know, so you look at it that you have to be on there every beck and call. Because the minute you miss a call, it's going to be a problem. Right. Especially they know that they paying. Right. You know what I mean? Exactly. So it's indirect prostitution.
Yes, it is.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, in so many words, that's exactly what it is. But a lot of them like that. You know, they're getting their bills paid. They're going on trips. They're eating at fancy restaurants. You know, they're being taken care of. And, you know, I salute them. If that's what you into, hey, who am I?
Right.
You know, but to each his own. Yeah. You know, and I keep it right there. And that's how I feel.
You know, another thing is, too, like, when you talk about these well-established guys and you talk about these young ladies that deal with these well-established guys and give them, you know, guys giving them money and stuff, the thing that really throws me off is that, like, I had an instance where, like I said, I had a friend of mine that was pretty well off financially and stuff like that, and he would tell me, you know, sometimes or share what the kind of money. But then when it all ended, it's almost like the woman treated like you was dealing. It's almost like you were dealing with a drug dealer because now, and you don't have nothing. Right. And I just don't understand how, you know, some of these young ladies get in these relationships with these well-established guys, and this guy's, first of all, he paying all your bills. So if you got a little job, to me, you should be banking your money or investing your money or something like that.
To make it make sense, yes.
When it all is said and done, a lot of them have nothing left. Nothing. And I'm like, okay, you got a Louis Vuitton purse, Gucci purse, or whatever designer bag you got, and you got red bottom shoes, and this, but you don't have nothing of substance or value.
Right.
After you did all this.
Right.
I just don't get that.
I mean, yeah, because we're talking about girls, we're not talking about women. Because see, a woman, if she playing that kind of game, she know what she needs to do. You know, she is putting that money aside. You know, oh, he giving me $5,000 a month. Okay, cool, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Yep, sure. I'm gonna ride with Bill. Month and month. He gonna give me $5,000. Cool. And I'm gonna put it aside.
Bills and take me to get oysters. Yeah,
sure, yeah. And then I'm gonna put, you know, he gonna pay for it, and I'm gonna bank my $5,000, and I'm gonna keep going. And as long as it's go, I'm gonna just put it to the side. And by the time I'm done with Bill, now I got $100,000.
But guess what? Bill not gonna marry her though.
No, Bill not, and she ain't looking for that either. So I think you still have to have an understanding of, you know, this is what it's understood. You know, we not getting married, we ain't having kids. You're not gonna be my girlfriend. Hey, you know, you're not gonna be my man. We just having fun.
Well, I think subliminally they think they girlfriend and boy, or they think they're in some type of relationship. Subliminally,
they're in a situationship that's understood,
right? And I think that has to be understood. I think it has to be understood by both parties.
Oh yeah, of
but
course.
I think that they somewhat do understand that they in some type of relationship. Now, that's the relationship that works for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, we can perceive it how we want to perceive it.
Right.
But if it works for them, but who are we to judge it?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it works hand in hand both ways. But I think it's a little more imbalanced when it comes to a woman that's well established that's dealing with a younger guy. You know what I mean?
Right, because now you got the sugar mama community, you know?
And they don't tolerate as much.
No.
They don't tolerate as much from these young guys that an older guy would tolerate from a younger woman. You know, they'll cut you off quick, you know what I mean, and move on. Because a lot of them, you know, it's just like a man is about sex. You know, for the most part, somebody fulfilling my sexual needs.
Right.
You know what I mean? And other than that, okay, you know what? I'll let you drive my car. You know what?
Right.
I you know what?
I'll
give you a couple. I give you a couple of dollars. You know what I mean?
Right.
Put in your pocket or whatever. But when I make that call, you need to answer that phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it works hand in hand when you're talking about dealing with the old and the young. You know what I mean? But I think that you can learn. You know, because like I say, to me, life is about wisdom and knowledge. And I think that you can learn something from young people. And I think that you can learn something from older people. I think that we have to learn how to blend that because it balances each other out. Because if you're an older person and you stick to your old ways and the world is steadily evolving.
Right.
And if you young and letting the world steady evolve, sometimes the world moving too fast. And that older person, hey, let me bring you back and slow you down, like turn it down. You just going and you're not thinking. You know, you're going and you're not noticing what's going on in your surroundings. So let me slow you down. You know what I mean? So I think there's a balance there. But like you say, you have to understand what it is your balance level is. Do I want to date somebody 10 years older than me? I want to date somebody 15 years older than me? Am I willing to date somebody 20 years older than me?
Right.
Or do I want to date somebody my age?
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have to make that call. And in making that call, you know, it's just like I told you when we were having our conversation. The only advice I could give my daughter, you're a grown woman. You have to make that call. I can't make that call for you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And, you know, I think it's some sacrifices on both parts because I was listening to social media and Cat Williams was dating this young girl. One of those
video fixes?
No, the girl that's on Love and Hip Hop.
Okay, Love and Hip Hop girl?
Yeah, one of them girls, and she was on social media talking about how he paid $22,000 to get her nose fixed. They went on a vacation and she had this accident on an ATV. Broke her nose.
Hazel E.
Hazel E. She broke her nose. Cat Williams paid for it, got it all together, and her house note was $10,500 a month. He was paying it every month for her. And so Tasha K was interviewing her, and Tasha K said, "Well, come on, tell me how was the sex? You know, it's Cat Williams. Is it big? Is it short? Is he little?"
Right.
And she was like, "He old." And when I say old, we just doing old-fashioned stuff. It was nothing sparks. There was no sparks. You know, there was nothing different. It's old missionary, same way every time. But he was putting out that money. So she, of course, she drew to Cat Williams because of the money.
Is she still dating Cat Williams?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Not now.
Because she got to that point. She got what she needed, and it's time to move on.
Done. He went and reconstructed her whole body. You know how she looked.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, so that's probably why she's hung in there, even though the sex wasn't spectacular. But she hung in there for that dollar. No for me. $10,500. $10,500.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to. If that's what you decide to do, yes, it's gonna have to be some type of compromise.
It's gonna be some sacrifices. Yeah, because she's gonna have to feel like, okay, well, let me figure just do it because I'm getting this money.
Right. And I don't feel like that's the way to go about it, but to each his own.
That's the whole point. The key is, just like Lamar said, if that's what works for you.
Right. If that's what works for you, yeah. I mean,
I just think, when it comes to a lot of things, man, people don't do what's best for them. They do what the world is doing. You know, like if this is the trend, then this is what we're going to do.
Right.
If people are doing this, then we need to try this. But for me, I just, you got to do what works for you and your partner, or you got to do what works for you. Not necessarily even what works for your partner, because sometimes you just got to do what works for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's...
Well, that's only if you by yourself. If you
no.
Okay, so
sometimes when you whether you're in a married or whether you're in a relationship, sometimes you got to do something that keeps you in a healthy state of mind. Sometimes it's because a lot of times when it comes to relationships, older, younger, in between, middle, you always try to find yourself fulfilling somebody else and you get lost. So it's not that you can't have a strong relationship, but sometimes in order to have a strong relationship, you got to know you. You got to know where you're at mentally. Because I think that when you look at society now, how a lot of times, we starting to realize how a lot of people got all this mental imbalance going on, right? And when you sit down and talk to them, it's like they never dug into who they were. Right. You know what I mean? It's always, you out here on the hustle bustle because, the people you grew up with, they doing fine. They live over here in $500,000 house, or they driving Mercedes and this and that. And somewhere down the line, you feel like you got lost in that. You know what I mean? So sometimes that mental thing, and sometimes you got to get in a place, married, relationship, and discover who you are. I think that every now and then you got to discover who you are.
Like for instance, you was just talking about let's say for instance, one person likes to party and the other person's old, so that person don't like to go to the club or whatever. But because that's your outlet, just say go ahead, have a good time. Party, party, do your thing, but I'm home, right? You know where home is. So if that's what's fulfilling that person, whether it's hanging out with their friends or, even Kevin Hart talks about that a lot. Sometimes you just want to be with your friends and you just want to hang out with your people, and then your significant other should be able to say, go ahead, have a good time. Whether they're young or old, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that you can have your fulfillment in life. Your life doesn't always have to revolve around that.
Right, and that's what I'm saying and that's what I'm basically saying, that sometimes you gotta do things that fulfill you to keep your joy. Because let me tell you something. One thing people don't understand about relationships, you are a part of what somebody else, whoever you bring into your life, you're only a part of it. And if you're unhappy, they gonna be unhappy. Yep. If you happy, they gonna be happy. So if you don't seek your happiness, you probably gonna have a miserable relationship. And then if that person is a party person and you're not, but you're like, hey, go have a nice time, like you just said, Dorshell. Okay, I'm gonna go have a nice time. But where I might have been accustomed to coming in the house 2-3 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna go have a nice time, but I'm gonna come home at a respectable time. I'm gonna still go, whereas though especially here in the ATL, people don't go out to the club at 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, if you put yourself in a situation where you married or in a relationship like this, well, now you got to find a club that, hey, man, at 10 o'clock, people there, we have a little party. By 12, 1 o'clock, I'm at home, instead of, I'm getting dressed at 12:30 to meet somebody at the club at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's a little out there,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, or we can just use some, for example, like I got a girlfriend that loves to knit or whatever. And so her husband like, oh, have a good time with your girlfriends. Go do your knitting or your, what they call it, crafting. Yeah. And so he likes to ride motorcycles and all that kind of stuff. So whenever it's on the weekend, his buddies in town, it's like, we're going to go ride motorcycles. So I think everybody should be able to do their own interests and still be able to come together as a couple. You don't necessarily, my interests
have to do
don't
everything.
Have to be his interest, you know what I'm saying?
But I mean, you do want to have some.
Yeah, you want to have
some. Yeah, that y'all can do together, because I've seen relationships where it's like, after a while you realize we don't have nothing in common. Like, how did we get to this point?
To each other.
Yeah, we really don't like each other. Really, we here
existing.
Yeah, So I think you definitely you have to.
And with age difference, you're going to have that imbalance. Because it's such of a big age difference. Like you said, 7 years at the most. But some people are doing 20 years and 10 and 20 years. So then at some point, you're going to be like, okay, this dude is 80.
Right.
Well,
and I'm 60.
But at 60, I mean, you sit there and say that at 20 or 30 or 40 years old, well, this dude 80 and I'm 60. But what I'm saying is your mindset changed at 62. So even though he 80, you know what I mean? You're not going to look at him the same way you would look at him if you're 30. If you're 30 and he's 50. But I mean, he a youthful 50 years old guy. He youthful. He get out. He move around this, that, and that.
Oh yeah, that's different.
But as you progress in that relationship or that marriage, and that guy now you saying, okay, well he's 70 and I'm 50, but he can still be a youthful 70-year-old cat. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it goes back to what's going to fit you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because as we progress in life, our mindset, our vision set differently. We look at things differently.
And I think by that time, especially if you done been with somebody so long and now y'all 60 and 80, you ain't going nowhere. Like
hopefully you're not.
I mean, unless one of y'all kick the bucket, you ain't really going away. I mean, dating is not the same anyway, so I wouldn't advise it. I say that all the time. Every time we have a conversation about dating, I don't advise it because it got all kind of contaminants in it. So I don't. If you're with somebody, figure it out. Like that is my advice. Like God,
but
try to figure it out.
Yeah, try.
I just think a lot of times you have to, if age is a factor, then you have to know what that number is that you willing or not willing to deal with.
And here's my thing. Let me just add that into it. Age doesn't determine your maturity, because you can be older and you can be just as worse as somebody.
Yeah, because we know now, right now, we could probably go out to the club right now and 50, 60 years old and some 70-year-old guy still in the club.
Still in the club. They ain't grow up yet. So, yes, if you are going to do that, just find somebody that's mature, and not trying to be your daddy or your master or nothing like that, but they actually want to be with you. And the same thing, for the women, she's not trying to be your mama or nothing. She's trying to be your woman. And you also have to look into yourself, like, why do I want to date somebody this old? Is it a trauma? Is it a void that I'm trying to fill? Is it because I got mommy issues or daddy issues? Now you need to...
Or is it love?
Or is it love, yeah.
But there are a lot of guys out there that's trying to get a sugar mama.
How about like the movie, Stella Got Her Groove Back? It was a younger guy.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but... again, whatever makes sense for you makes sense for you.
Exactly, and that's what I say. That I think, in relationships, in marriages, I think that you have to always sit back and search self. Mm-hmm. You have to search self. I know a lot of people say, let's go from this time, and let's reevaluate where we at. Let's reevaluate our relationship. Mm-hmm. But what does that mean? Reevaluate what? Reevaluate to make us stronger, reevaluate us to say whether, hey, we need to end this, or what is that reevaluation point? Because, especially when you get married and you say for richer or for poor, for better or for worse, sickness and health, you know what I mean? So when you reevaluate, you got to reevaluate to the point that I ain't going nowhere and you ain't going nowhere. We got to figure out how to make this thing work.
Right.
Other than you in a relationship, and we reevaluate. I can say, well, this ain't working, I'm gone.
Yeah, but I feel like even in a marriage, and I understand the vows and things like that, but I still have to stand on the fact that I don't, if we get to the point of reevaluating and I just know this is not working, I'm not going to continue to stay with somebody. I'm not going to do that.
Well, I think it's differently in marriage, and I say that because your vows is honoring God.
Right, I understand that.
And the thing is that, then it comes down to praying with one another and believing in God,
right,
and things of this nature, rather than when you in just a relationship where you with somebody. Well, you really just going on your trust and his trust.
Right, but I feel like even in the marriage, like, we can say that, and I respect and I understand and I believe the vows and what we said, but I'm not going to stay. I'm not going to be unhappy because I've said vows. If I know this is not going to work and we've tried it and we've done everything that we can, I'm not staying.
Right.
I'm going to file for divorce. I'm just not. I'm not going to allow you to cheat on me. I'm not going to allow you to just do whatever. I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me. I'm not going to allow you to belittle me. I don't care if you are my husband.
You know what? Let me say this, because you said something that's interesting. You said, I've tried everything. Then we have to ask ourselves, have we really tried everything? And I say this from this perspective, that we at times don't even know who we are. We know our ticking points. We know the things that'll make us angry. We know the things that'll make us happy. And at times, sometimes you get in that rut, and you start thinking about, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. But in the midst of you trying all these things, you still have to ask yourself, have I really tried everything? And when you say everything, I mean everything, and I think that's a hard challenge, because it's a hard challenge to do yourself. Even if you by yourself and, you working through life and you're like, man, I got a job, I'm doing this, I'm trying to pay this, and it seems like nothing is working. And then you have to ask yourself, have I really challenged myself and tried everything? Because everything is very broad.
Right.
It's very broad. And I think that sometimes we use that loosely, that I've tried everything, and you only can do what you can do, or know your limitations.
Right. You
know your limitations. So in your limitations, you can say this is it, but you may not have tried everything. You follow what I'm saying?
Right. And even if we're going to take it, to a biblical level of, vows, if I say that I am of God, then why am I going to allow somebody to mistreat me?
Well, I think if you both of God, I don't think you're going to mistreat each other. I really don't think that you're going to mistreat each other.
If you really are that way.
Right.
Now, most people are not, and that's why we have so many divorces, because most of these people are just doing it for my husband, this my wife, this my husband, and it sound good, but y'all aren't doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Because if I am of God and you are of God, then we need to love each other. We need to love self. We need to love each other, and we should now reflect back on each other everything. And if that's the case, we need to do the work. The work needs to be done. But if you got somebody and you got a husband or wife and they are is nothing but infidelity, and now you got kids. It's levels too.
Well, if it's infidelity, you definitely can get out of there, because the word even tell you that through infidelity. Hey, infidelity. I don't have to try everything now. You see what I'm saying? I don't have to try everything, because guess what? From a spiritual perspective, the word say, if this joke out here doing infidelity, whether it's male or female, I can get up out of there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, see,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, you done some stuff,
Right.
but it's like almost you done stepped to the lowest point.
Right. Now, I know this is so off the topic that we was going with, but now, I'm going to stay right here for a second, and we can definitely pick this up on another episode. But I was on Instagram, and you may have seen it, I don't know, but the lady was saying, I found out that my husband was cheating, and she said, most of the time, oh, girl, you need to leave. She said, yeah.
Oh, I say that.
I ain't leaving. And so now she interviewing, and, they're like, why you not going to leave? And she said, well, I told him, listen, you gonna do what you gonna do, because now I know what you're doing, and I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. But see, this house is taken care of. The things in my house is taken care of. So I'm not going nowhere, because at the end of the day, ain't nothing out here. So we might as well just go ahead and do what we need to do here.
And figure it out.
Don't bring me no kids, and don't bring me nothing here.
Yeah, I seen that on. I was shocked about that.
That was a different take. I mean,
but that may be her everything. I done tried everything.
Right.
That's how they want to do it.
You're right. And I was like, okay, that's different. But I can see why in situations like that, some people do stay.
See,
I don't know. I'm not married yet, so I haven't gotten that far.
But even what relationships, I just, a lot of people stay because of things. Because I live in a nice home, or I'm driving a nice car, or we got a nice bank account. You stay for things,
right?
And you miserable,
right?
And to me, you don't even have enough belief in yourself that you can go get these things on your own. You don't have you. I think that sometimes some people become so codependent upon a person, they lose self, and that's why I always talk about mental health from a mental health standpoint. That whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, you still have to address your mental health, because you know what, you can get in so many arguments, and you know what. We've probably all been to that point of being in a relationship and getting so angry, and you say, why in the hell am I doing this? You know what I mean? But in your heart, you love and care about this person, right? But mentally, I always say to people, if somebody punch you in your stomach, it's going to hurt. You know what I mean? But you can get over that pain, right? But if a person lash you with words, you never ever forget those words they lash you with. Yeah. The only thing you can do is forgive that person. And forgiving them does not erase it from your mind, but forgiving means I'm moving forward. I'm not going to sit back and just steady talk about this. I'm not going to harbor on it. I'm just going to keep moving forward. You know what I mean? But that mental lashing never leaves your mind. We can all sit here and go and think about things that happened to us when we were children. We grown adults. It never left our mind, but in the same token, we forgave the person, then we got to push on through life. You know what I mean? And I think that's part of what people have to understand, that forgiveness, and I'm going to say to me because it may mean something else to somebody else, but forgiveness to me is to press forward. Meaning that you're not going to forget it mentally. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're not going to forget it.
You're not going to forget it. But you can move forward.
Yeah. And when you say you forgive that person, you can't keep going back to the same thing. Just if you're going to forgive them, let it go. Right. You can't keep beating them over the head with it. If you decide to stay after they, said or did what they did, you're going to have to let it go.
You're going to have to let it go. And that means you got to press forward. Yeah. Where do we go from this point? Right. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people... that even when Dorshell was saying, I was saying that, if sometimes you hanging out with your girlfriends or your buddy is going to bring peace to our relationship or our marriage, and it helps you from a mental standpoint, then I'm gonna encourage you. Long as I know you ain't got some of these whack girlfriends that's doing all kinds of. See, I ain't trying to. Let we married and you go and hang out with them ratchet girls. Right. I'll be like, nah, come on now, you doing too much. You know what I mean? Right. They probably coaching you on to leave. You should leave that joke. Look how much fun we having. Right. You know what I mean? But you got to still all put it into perspective. If I'm going to go hang out, with my buddies, I'm going to speak for me. like I know some of my buddies like going to strip clubs. I ain't going. I ain't doing that because it don't make sense to me. Number one,
Right.
I ain't go no club, work all week, work all month, and throw my money at somebody I don't even know.
Right.
I'm gonna take it home and throw it at my wife.
Right.
And buy her a thong or something and throw it at her. You know what I mean? At least I'm going to get a return on my money.
Right.
But I'm not going to sit there and
Right.
throw it at Helen down the club. You know what I mean? That's crazy to me.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that.
Right.
That's the craziest thing in the world to me. You come home and then
Not Ellen down at the
you know your wife telling you.
Like old lady.
Well, you know what?
Look, I don't know.
I'm going to
That's
tell you
the
something.
old one.
There's some Helens in the club, from what I understand.
Oh, gosh.
Some Helens, some Keishas, Monica, and all them in the club. But you coming home and you done went down there and ate some of Lou Williams wings. You ate some Lou Williams wings
All clubs.
and then threw $500 away in the club.
Right.
And then you coming home and your wife said, "Oh, you know this bill need to be taken care of."
Right, you didn't threw
Wait
the
a
you
minute,
didn't
wait a minute, hold on,
down
what
there
bill?
at Helen.
Yeah, that's crazy
L.
to me.
Williams.
You done ate some some Lou Williams wings and threw the bill money at Helen.
Right.
That's crazy. You know what I mean? So you can't go hang out with your ratchet girlfriends or your ratchet buddies because
Right.
you're going to put yourself in a situation.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I feel like you want to surround yourself with like-minded people. Yeah, for
That's just
sure.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah, you know, I want the couple friends. I don't want the
Yeah,
single
I don't want
friends.
the single friend. I don't
Unless
want
I'm
the-
the single friend. You know,
Right.
we the single friends. You know.
It's one thing like, you know, you doing something at the crib and you invite some of your single friends because it's quality control there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, you got quality control. You know, you invite them, you know, but when you talk about inviting your single friends and knowing that, you know what, hey man, this dude like hanging at the clubs. So I'm telling you, hey, I'm going to hang out with Eric tonight. And you know Eric like hanging out at the club. You're like, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You probably setting yourself up for some trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then, you know, you got your friend Larry. He like going to sports events and stuff like that. Well, I'm going to go hang out with him because I like sports.
Right.
I ain't going to hang out down no strip club. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm going to go because if I go to a sporting event, I know I ain't going to spend no $500.
And I
know I ain't going to see Helen.
Gonna be there.
And I know I ain't going to see Helen there. You know what I mean? So I'm going to the sporting event.
But the chicken gonna be there though. The chicken
Yeah,
gonna
you
be
can
there.
get some chicken. It might not be Lou Williams wings, but you can get some wings. You know what I mean? So I mean, you gotta look at it from that perspective. You know
Yeah.
that you gotta
Like-minded people.
you like-minded. You gotta be what you gotta make your own. You know, ideal person.
Right.
You know, in your mind. I think that another thing is I think in order to have somewhat successful relationship is that. I think you should not put a burden on somebody and ask them to do things you won't even do yourself.
Right. And I also want to go ahead and say this too. Even if you are with couples, right? Because you got to be careful with them too.
Yeah.
You know, because your homegirl start calling you and telling you what Sean did, and now you looking at your man sideways, and now now y'all got chaos. You don't want that because sometimes that energy can definitely jump from relationship to relationship. Right. So you still have to be careful. You know when you are dealing with those couple friends, you want to make sure that. And everybody gonna have their problems, but you want to make sure those relationships have substance. Those are good couples. They not tore up couples. You know, she over here cheating, he over there cheating. It's just madness. You know, it's
right.
You know, and yeah, y'all can pillow talk about. Well, she called me and said such and such and such. You know, you want to be with people of substance.
Exactly.
You know,
So that older guy could be the person of substance.
I mean,
that younger person could be the person of substance.
Absolutely.
You know,
age is just a number.
You know, like they say, age is just a number. You know,
Yeah.
but let me put this disclaimer there. Age is just a number when you are a mature and wise enough thinking adult.
Yes.
Not. You know, because we got some weirdos out here. When you say age is not a number, they chasing children. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that maturity level, when you at that point to where, you know, like you say, you in your 30s and stuff, in 40s like that, you at a level where you should be able to make a conscious decision on what's best for your life.
Right.
You know, And if you're comfortable dating a person that's 10, 15, 20 years older, you can't worry about whatever everybody else thinks.
That is your prerogative.
That's true, but
if you choose to date a person that's 10 years younger than you, that's your prerogative.
But you also, like Dominique said, you also have to know what it entails. Like, what are you getting out of it? Mm-hmm. What that person getting out of it and what you're getting out of it.
Right.
If you're dating that far, like Jay-Z and Beyonce, she was getting poured into, knowledge of the business and making more money. Or on the other flip side, this girl is just getting free oysters. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Every week.
Right.
So it depends on what that person's getting out of that relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and if that's what they want to do, that's their prerogative.
We're gonna talk more about relationships and in depth, and we're gonna talk about the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we're gonna touch on some things, and maybe you find love listening to us at People Think About It. You can listen to us at peoplethinkaboutit.com. We contact us at peoplethinkaboutit@gmail.com. You can also go to our pod page, and if you want to be a guest, register and be a guest. You can also donate on the pod page. But we want to thank you guys once again for listening to People Think About It. We hope you keep listening. We release new episodes every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So listen in, give us a feedback, listen to People Think About It, and we thank y'all guys for listening.
You've been listening to People Think About It. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your friends so that you never miss an episode. A new episode drops every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Thank you for listening.